Alright, so this is video 3. Once again, this video is going to touch on outline 3 and some more sessions of the semester. My name is Kelvin O, Howell Jr. This is a video presented to Dr. Richard Grallo, PhD, Professor of Applied Psychology, and the particular fulfillment of the requirements for legal and ethical issues in counseling, the Audrey Cohen School of Human Service and Education, Bachelor's of Professional Studies in Human Services, Spring 2019. So for this outline, I talked about responsibility to the employer with some boundaries. And I'm just going to just share that, touch a little bit on that, and move forward with some of the session information. So, when you take any job during the onboarding process, it's usually a staff handbook of some sort given to you, or there's a when you log into like a website to your portal, there's rules and regulations, policies and procedures on how everything is done, from payroll processing to interaction with clients, and they vary from organization to organization, state to state. However, most of them all pretty much speak the same language. Sexual contact with clients is prohibited. Giving clients money is out of order. Taking files home are out of order. Stealing from the company, the misuse of company equipment, and so forth and so on. Boundaries. To touch on that, there's a boundary between clients. You need to set boundaries between you with clients as well as you with coworkers. I've always thought it was peculiar. I used to smoke cigarettes long time ago. Long time ago. I have asthma now, so I can't smoke. Not that I desire to. I say that to say that a lot of times I see staff members go out on smoke breaks, and clients will come and be like, "Hey, here's $1, or here's 50 cents. Can I smoke with you? Can I buy a cigarette?" And that type of, right there's the boundaries. You know what I'm saying? First of all, staff should not be smoking within a certain feet of an agency, so the clients wouldn't even know that you smoke. That's like something they feel they can bond with you on. So I think that's totally, one of the things I noticed that was inappropriate. And some agency, so I worked at. That's one thing. Or I've been in a restaurant, a lounge, having a cocktail with friends or family, and a client would walk in, and it's very uncomfortable. Depending on the situation, I would either leave or prepare myself to leave, or if they left, I would stay, because it's very uncomfortable. You can't predict a client's state of mind. It's alcohol involved in the environment. I definitely have to go, or I'll just leave and meet my friends and family later. It may be paranoid, but it's just a strong boundary, because I don't need a client to come in tomorrow to the agency and give, "Oh my God, it was so cool drinking with you last night. We never went out drinking." But you showed up somewhere where where we had a drink. Or I was having a drink, and you were having a drink. Now all of a sudden we were drinking, and that opens the door to make me look bad, or people want to question me. So clients do that. They allude to stuff without really saying stuff, just because. So that's that. Then I know on boundaries on staff. I was working somewhere, and this agency used to get beautiful donations from like the Gap, Banana Republic, Kenneth Cole, Donna Karen, Tommy. Oh my God, some of them just beautiful stuff. From scarves to sheets to hats and gloves, brand new shoes. Stuff for me, plus size guys, skinny, all type of stuff. I've seen coworkers, dip and dive in that stuff. Oh, my daughter needs a coat. This is valued at a $450 coat that's been given out of the kindness of an organization's heart. or a company, I mean, excuse me, out of a for profit, let me say it correctly, a for profit to benefit a non for profit. So that's asset. It's not tangible in money, but on a spreadsheet, is considered an in kind donation. Okay, I'm proud of myself. I'm coordinating everything here. It's an in kind donation which tally ups to something. So in value, you just stole $450 worth of merchandise from a non for profit. It's a crime. I remember I was going through bad times. I was homeless at the time, living in the shelter. I just got the job. The job was offered to me for doing outreach. It was 45,000 a year. At the time, all I had was a GED, and like I said, I was in a shelter, so I needed the job. So 45,000 was good for me to have. No college education. Oh, I was so grateful and just so at ease. So I witnessed stuff, and I was very scared to tell. It was just too much. I never took anything. I was over. Oh, you need a coat, you need a scarf. No, thank you. I'm fine, thank you, or whatever. But it was a lot of pressure to partake or take or be a part of it, or just not say anything. So finally, I had tried to say something to the staff and director, like, guys, let's not do this. People look like they're watching, or whatever. Everybody turned against me. Um, it was weird. Eventually, I resigned from the job because it was just, people use this when in Rome, do what the Romans do. That's how I felt. And being someone that had non for profits help him growing up from being a runaway youth and stuff like that, it felt morally wrong. It felt ethically wrong to do. It was just upsetting to me, very upsetting. So that's the boundaries with staff. That's an example of a boundary with staff and an example with clients. So let's see, session. I think I went over like section 8, brainstorming outline. So what did I last few? Counseling in society, purpose and education in the construction action. I can talk about that. So this was about counseling this semester. So the client I had was a client dealing with HIV and spirituality. It was at a church called Love Alive Sanctuary of Praise, International Sanctuary of Praise Worship Center of New York. One of the elders of the church was counseling a young man. I sat in on the counseling sessions. I helped run the counseling sessions. And pretty much he wanted to know if HIV was like a divine connection to him and the higher power. Was it a punishment from his family drama? His father was HIV infected and raped his mom and knew of his status and didn't tell her. The mom died at birth from complications. The father was doing a life sentence in prison. So he's alone. He's homeless. He's been incarcerated. He is in college at Brooklyn Law School, does work study there. So life is pretty good, but his faith is where he keeps himself grounded at. So he wanted to know. So I explored with him different things of understanding, interpretation of the scriptures, and things of that nature. So that's kind of like what I did for the construction action this semester. Purpose into education has truly changed my life. I feel like I've always had purpose into education. I just didn't have the proper terminology for it. We're already at 9. This video is going to run a little longer because we get into the last 2. So whatever I can't put in this video, I'm going to have to put it in the next one. Because I don't want to do a 5th video, Dr. Grallo. So I'm sorry, be patient with me. So the purpose into education module with the dimensions of learning and just seeing it, I really enjoyed so much. Just processing, the dimension of learnings help you just really open you up to critically thinking and analyzing about something. I really enjoy that. I would love to create a charting system for clients through the purpose into education dimensional analysis with a charting system. I think that would be amazing. I would really enjoy for clients to do a CA when they come to you as a counselor, Let's do an assessment of self, because that's what the counseling process entails. We need to do an assessment of self. Then we need to find out what the need is. Once we get the need, we then need to do the proper literature resource review on how to, better um, get the tools necessary to help you resolve the need or to change it. And then we need to implement and document how we're implementing those strategies. Then we need to evaluate those strategies, but we also need to provide rationale or justification for the implementation of those strategies. And then we need to evaluate if anything could have been done better. So that's kind of way general steps of a CA, which is totally amazing. But I think that could work in a counseling situation. For example, if a young man or young woman comes to me for domestic violence, that is obviously what's going to be the need. But the self-assessment is: are you the batter? Are you the victim? The survivor? You know, what's your housing situation like? Are you safe right now? All of those things come into play. So that's in the self-assessment. Moving forward would then be the need would either be, if they're not in a safe space, to get in a safe space. If they need healing, let's do healing. But let's say it is healing. Let's look up books for spirituality, change on domestic violence. Then we read them. We pull what data we can. We implement them on a weekly basis over a course of time. Then we evaluate. Then we talked about the justification, or that could be supervision with me and my supervisor explaining why I chose this course of action, and then evaluating if I could do something different. So that's kind of the purpose of education in CPE. Lifelong learning in human services. Well, I think when you become a scholar, I would like to say that. When you become a scholar, it is an addiction, number one. I mean, for a lot of us. You want more. One thing you can do is unlearn something, but once you know you're teachable and you can retain knowledge, you thrive for more, or at least I do. So it becomes a lifelong commitment to learning. And if you want to be effective in counseling, there's always new counseling practices happening. And that's part of one of the standards, you must always be informed and updated as a counselor or as a human service professional on the latest rules and regulations. Law changes all the time. There's always an amendment to something, or something is adapted. So you have to know, because you can be open to a malpractice suit, any type of lawsuit. You could be terminated from your job if you didn't know. You could do harm to a client, your coworkers, or yourself if you did not know. So you must understand that, and sometimes policy and procedure does not change as the law changes. So you can be in an agency that's just ancient and they haven't gotten around to changing the policy and procedure, but yet the law has changed. You're still responsible for knowing the law. So, yeah, that's the lifelong learning. Professional credentials. I mean, you got to stay on top of those. You're only as valid as your credentials. If things expire, you must go ahead and get your credentials. Don't practice without your credentials. They're there to review to make sure you're still in your right state of mind, or that you still can apply your driver's license. A lot of people do that. I know I did that one time, not intentionally, but my driver's license had expired. But me and I realized, dummy, your birthday's coming up, your driver's license expiring every so often. So I got pulled over with an expired driver's license. I could have been penalized and went to jail. Just like as a counselor or any other type of credential, when you're practicing and you don't recertify or whatever you need to do, there's penalties that can be imposed. It's legal, cool, and it's just unethical for you to want to practice without being current and updated. Session 9. Yeah, I'll do session 9. Okay. Applying ethical code to the construction action. I think I've done that. Like I said, my client had HIV. even with this video, I never breached that because I never shared his name with you. So even if so, I'm keeping confidentiality. When I did my notes, I never put his legal name in there. So that's how I pretty much applied it. Kept the privacy and confidentiality. Um, Understanding self and others. Um, I definitely understand myself, my triggers, what I can take, what I can't take, if things are too much for me, if I need to just like step away, leave things alone. I pretty much got those pieces together. Um, so I think I'm gonna wrap that up for now, and then just close out everything else in the last video. Thank you so much.